Hey there. So, if you've got a brilliant business idea brewing in Minnesota, but just the thought of all that legal paperwork makes you feel totally overwhelmed, you are in exactly the right place. By the end of this explainer, even if you are a complete beginner who has literally never looked at a legal document in your life, you're going to walk away with all the essential knowledge you need to successfully launch and protect your very own Minnesota LLC. We're going to break down exactly what you need to do step by step so you can stop stressing about the red tape and get back to what really matters, building credibility and actually growing your business. Here is our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, LLC basics and naming. Second, appointing a registered agent. Third, filing articles of organization. Fourth, operating agreements and EINs. And finally, number 5, compliance and tips. Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, LLC basics and naming. So an LLC, or Limited Liability Company, is the most popular business structure out there for a very good reason. It acts as an incredible, invisible shield for your personal assets. Think of it like this. If your business gets sued or racks up some debt, your personal belongings, your house, your private bank account, your car, those are generally completely protected. An LLC creates a hard line that separates you from the business. And whether you're opening up a neighborhood coffee shop, launching a freelance design studio, or kicking off a tech startup, the LLC structure offers these fantastic pass-through tax advantages. That just means you get to avoid the dreaded double taxation that traditional corporations have to deal with. Plus, simply having those 3 little letters, LLC, at the end of your name, it instantly boosts your credibility with clients and lenders. Now, the very first official step is naming your business. But you can't just pick a name out of a hat. Minnesota has some pretty strict state requirements. Your business name legally must include the words Limited Liability Company, or the abbreviation LLC. It also absolutely must be distinguishable from every single other business currently on record with the state. No copycats allowed. Finally, you cannot use restricted terms that might trick someone into thinking you're a government agency, an illegal operation, or a totally different entity type. So words like corporation, incorporated, or bank, those are completely off limits for a standard LLC. Also, just a quick aside, state approval doesn't automatically protect you from federal trademark issues, so always run a quick trademark search first. So how do you actually find out if your perfect name is up for grabs? You'll want to head online to the Minnesota Business Entity Search Database. It's a completely free tool provided by the state. Once you find a name that is 100% unique, you've got a choice to make. If you aren't quite ready to file your official formation documents right this second, you can actually file a name reservation application. It's a great option. For $35 by mail or $55 online, the state will essentially put a 12-month hold on that name just for you. Moving right along to Section 2, appointing a registered agent. Every single LLC in Minnesota must have a registered office, and typically a registered agent. What exactly is that? Well, it's basically an individual or an authorized business entity that acts as your company's official point of contact for the state. The rules here are incredibly strict, though. Your agent must have a physical street address right there in Minnesota. Absolutely no P.O. boxes allowed, 0 exceptions. And they must be consistently available at that specific address during normal standard business hours to accept service of process. That's just a fancy legal term for things like lawsuits, subpoenas, and critical official state mail. You essentially have 2 routes you can take for this. First, you could just act as your own registered agent. It's totally free, but there is a major trade-off. Your personal home address becomes part of the permanent public record for anyone to look up, and you are literally tied to that address every single weekday from 9 to 5. Alternatively, you can hire a professional registered agent service. While they do charge an annual fee, usually around $100 to a few $100, they completely protect your privacy by putting their address on the public record instead of yours. Plus, they ensure you never ever miss a critical, time-sensitive legal document. For a lot of people, the peace of mind alone is worth it. All right, on to Section 3, filing articles of organization. To actually bring your LLC to life, you have to file a document called the Articles of Organization. If you decide to mail it in, it'll cost you $135, but it enters a standard, much slower processing queue. If you file online or in person, it costs $155. And this brilliantly illustrates a fun little quirk in their system. Why the extra $20? Because that $155 online fee actually includes baked-in expedited processing. You don't have to pay some crazy separate rush fee. Just filing online inherently fast-tracks your paperwork. It'll get processed in just a few days, or honestly, even the exact same day if you do it in person. Oh, and a quick pro tip. Double, triple check that your LLC name matches your reservation exactly. typos are the most common reason for rejection. Now, it is absolutely vital to understand that your LLC does not actually exist the moment you drop the check in the mail or hit submit on the website. The LLC legally exists only once the Minnesota Secretary of State actually processes and officially files your articles of organization. That specific moment, that's when your business officially transforms from just an idea in your head into a recognized, legally protected entity.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, Operating Agreements and EINs.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a sort of hidden danger in Minnesota law. See, Minnesota doesn't actually require you to submit an operating agreement to the state. However, the state statute explicitly defines an operating agreement as any agreement between members, whether it's written down, purely oral, or just implied. This means that if you're going into business with a partner, casual email threads or even just verbal chats over a cup of coffee can accidentally become a legally binding, implied operating agreement in the eyes of a judge if a dispute ever arises. Crazy, right? So to prevent those kinds of messy, costly internal disputes, you absolutely need a formal written operating agreement. Think of it as your company's internal rulebook, and having it in writing overrides the state's default rules. For example, by default, Minnesota gives every single member equal voting power, regardless of whether someone invested $10,000 and someone else invested $50. A written agreement lets you customize all of that. It should clearly outline everyone's ownership percentages, exactly how profits and losses are divvied up, whether the LLC is managed by its members or by appointed managers, how voting actually works, and the step-by-step procedures for dissolving the business if, down the road, things just don't work out. Okay, the very next critical step after your LLC is formed is securing an EIN, which stands for Employer Identification Number. This is a federal tax ID issued directly by the IRS. Think of it essentially as a social security number, but exclusively for your business. And here is the best part. Unlike a lot of other startup costs, this one is completely free. You can grab it directly from the IRS website in just a few minutes. Now, you might be wondering, do I really need one if I'm just a solo entrepreneur? The answer is almost always a resounding yes. An EIN is absolutely essential for your everyday business functions. Literally, you will be blocked from opening a proper business bank account without one. You absolutely need one if you ever plan to hire employees, and you need it to file your federal and state taxes. But most importantly, it is the key to keeping your personal and business finances strictly separate, which, as we mentioned earlier, is absolutely crucial for maintaining that personal asset protection. Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Compliance and Final Tips. Unlike so many other states that charge you hundreds of dollars every single year just for the privilege of existing, Minnesota is incredibly business-friendly. Just look at that number, $0. Minnesota does not charge a fee for your mandatory LLC annual renewal, provided your business is active and in good standing. You literally just have to file a quick form by December 31st each year. So, the crucial point is this. Just because it is free absolutely does not mean it is optional. If you forget to file this simple, free renewal by the end of the year, the state will administratively terminate and dissolve your business entity. Poof, gone. To fix it, you'll lose your good standing, have to jump through hoops filing extra paperwork, and you'll be hit with a $45 online reinstatement fee. Seriously, go set a calendar reminder on your phone right now. Do not miss the free renewal. Okay, before we go, let's leave you with some final, actionable tips to keep everything running smoothly. First, and I can't stress this enough, never mix your personal and business money. Always maintain a separate business bank account to preserve your liability protection. Depending on what exactly you sell, you might also need to register for a Minnesota sales and use tax account. If you plan to build a team, Minnesota law imposes a really strict penalty if you fail to register for an active withholding tax account before you start paying employees. For those of you looking into more advanced tax strategies, just note that Minnesota's pastor entity, or PTE tax election, expired for tax years beginning after December 31st, 2025. And finally, be sure to leverage free local resources. Places like the Minnesota Small Business Assistance Office are literally there to help guide you as you grow. And there you have it. You now possess the complete step-by-step playbook to confidently launch your own business in Minnesota. The whole process is demystified, the fees are crystal clear, and the path forward is right in front of you. Just as a quick wrap-up, please note that the information provided in this explainer is accurate, up-to-date, and meant purely for educational purposes. It doesn't constitute formal legal advice. Every single business situation is completely unique, so please make sure to consult with a qualified legal or tax professional for personalized guidance regarding your specific LLC. But hey, you have the playbook now. The only thing left to decide is your very first step. So, what will you name your new Minnesota LLC today?